All right, Ian Stanley, welcome back to the Happy Hustle Podcast, my brother. I am super stoked to connect.
It's been a long time. Remember last time we recorded this, I was at my parents' house. I don't know why, but I remember I recorded it in their kitchen. So,
Yeah,
things have changed. I was living in LA. That was when we had mold in our house, actually, I think.
yeah,
And
it's been a
we had to
while.
go stay with my parents. Yeah.
Yeah, man,
But
good to
we've
see
hung
you.
out since then.
Yeah, we
We
have.
just haven't done a podcast. Yeah.
You came on the Montana Mastermind Epic Camping Adventure. We broed out in the wilderness. We got competitive in spike ball.
We did. I was wondering if we were going to talk about that. That was the point where I think everybody there thought there was going to be a fight in the middle of nowhere with nobody to break it up or no cops. And we're like, no, we're both just way too competitive. We're just over the top competitive, and we're mad at each other about spike ball, and it was fine afterwards. It only it was just a little bit of anger for a little bit.
Yeah, something all the happy hustlers need to know about Ian. Not only is he a badass serial entrepreneur, comedian, master salesman, but he's also extremely competitive. And so when you are competing with him about anything, you better play to win because you know he is. And I like that about you, man.
Yeah.
Like I think that's like I think there's something there to your success too. I mean, you don't sell over $100 million in products and services without that killer instinct. You know what I mean? So where do you think that came from?
I know exactly where it came from. I was supposed to win Wimbledon from age 3. My mom and dad are still number 1 in the world for their age in tennis. My mom and I don't play tennis anymore, but my mom and I won the national mother-son last year. And like my mom and dad still play. They're 67 and 70, and they're number 1 for their age in the world still. And so, I played in college. I won a national championship there, but I completely underperformed in that sport because I hated it, and because I had so much pressure on me from my childhood. Like I was expected to win Wimbledon and do all this stuff, and so I hated it. I always hated it, and I was a psychopath on the court, throwing rackets over fences, punching myself in the head. I've still got scars on my knuckles from punching strings, because you punch tennis strings, which is so stupid, and you just cut off skin. And I was nuts. Off the court, I was always super chill, but on the court, I was a psycho. And then in soccer, I was actually, when I got angry in soccer, I was better, whereas in tennis, I was always worse. But so it just comes from my childhood. I had to win at everything. I had to be the best. And then being older, after going through a lot of therapy and things, it's not my identity anymore, but I'm still just, I don't understand these kids. People like, I don't care who wins. I just want to play the game. I'm like, okay, cool. So your parents accepted mediocrity. That's fucking fine. Don't push it on me. Because you know what's fun? Winning. Okay. Have you tried it? If you tried winning, you would feel the same way I did, but you're fucking mediocre and you spend your life being average at shit. And that's fine. But don't push that on me like I'm the bad guy because I fucking like to win. And, but now I sound like such a douchebag, but I'll say, because you've been around this, at like Geary's house and anywhere I go, there's a common thing, because we'll play Shame Ball, which is this pool game that we've created. I now own shameball.com, by the way, which we're going to be building out a whole thing. Yeah, I had to buy it.
Damn, that's awesome.
It sounds like a porn site. It's not. It's we're going to get, because people always ask us at Buzz when we're playing, like, what is this game? So we're going to just put some instructional videos so people can play. But anything to play, whether we're playing darts, we're playing Shame Ball, we're playing video games, we're playing trivia, we're playing board games, whatever it is, there is a thing amongst all of my friends where they say, if Ian loses, everybody wins. So literally, I mean, people will have known me for like 10 minutes and like, I just want this guy to lose. So like, it's a common thing. And so what my buddy, so he says, if Ian, remember guys, if Ian loses, everybody wins. And then there's this thing, he goes, there are people who are polarizing, right? They've got a polarizing energy. You either like them or hate them. He goes, everybody wants you to lose. He goes, you are not polarizing, you are unifying in people's hatred of your victory. So it's just a thing. And, people hate, and I tend to win at stuff, so people don't like that. They don't like that. I mean, even my mom rooted against me as a kid. Like my cousin's parents would be like, let's go Adam, let's go Chase. And then my mom would be like, let's go Adam, let's go Chase, like BD. And, not in tennis, but in everything else. It's just,
that's funny. Well, I mean, and here's the thing. Like, I do believe there's a different mentality between even our generation and this future generation of like everyone gets a trophy generation versus like,
Hmm.
no, you get what you earn. And I think that
Right.
is really where I want to dive a deeper, because with Happy Hustler specifically, I want them to really get what they earn, and I want them to earn the best life possible, their dream reality. And I know you're big on money and the blocks that stop us from earning our dream reality. And I want to dive a little deeper here into that
Yeah.
mentality and that mindset around money, because what
Hmm.
do you think holds most people back when it comes to money and really earning what they're worth?
Yeah. So, well, I think to sort of finish on the competitive thought too is that I actually
Yeah.
don't view business as competition. I don't view money as competition. As much as I just sounded like the biggest asshole on earth as I went through that rant, I am not competitive in business or money or comparison to friends or how much they have, or I don't think of other business competitors even as competition. I view it all as collaboration. If they're teaching
Hmm.
marketing and stuff, we can all help each other. Like there's no downside to that for me. There's not a it's money's not a finite game. It's kind
Mm.
of like in comedy, people have this really weird idea, and this leads into all the money stuff in general. Is there's this weird idea amongst especially like open mic uh, type of comedians, people who are just going out there trying to make something work. They have this idea. It's like there's a finite amount of laughs out there. It's like there's this little hat full of laughter, and if you take one out, there's less in there. And I'm like, that's not how
Mm.
fucking laughter works. Laughter, if anything, is
Yeah.
contagious, and it's the
Yeah.
more somebody like even. And then there are comics who they don't want the guy in front of them to kill too hard because then they have to follow. And I'm like, well, cool. That puts me in a tough position that I have to get out of. And then if but then people want them to not be good, and you're like, well, then that just makes it harder for you to do well. You got to win the crowd back. And so people, I
Yeah.
think, view money the same way. They view it as though there's a finite amount of money, and there's not. There's an infinite sum. I mean, the U.S. is literally printing money and lending it to
Yeah.
itself in the most obscene system ever created, leading to
True.
the ridiculous inflation that we're dealing with.
Yep.
Other countries actually print their money, and I'm half English and half American. For everybody who's wondering, that's why I sound Australian. Um, and so the there's this idea that there's not so there's five core money blocks. The first block is rich people are assholes. The second block is
Mm.
money is bad or evil. The third block is there isn't enough money, which is essentially scarcity. It's this idea of there's a finite amount out there or there's just never going to be enough. The fourth block is I have to work harder or longer hours to make more. And the fifth block is I don't deserve it or I'm not worthy. So those are and I've coached tons of people on this stuff, and people go, well, I have this thing. That's not one of those five blocks. It is. Everything fits into these five blocks. I'd challenge somebody to try and find one that's not, because even you have things
Mm.
like I'm sure you know people like this, like the wealthier people who their net worth is their self worth.
Mm.
So
Yep.
what that's basically saying is that they're not worthy of love independent of their money. Their money is their sense of self. So which means that they still don't feel worthy. They don't feel deserving. And then you've got rich people are assholes. Is basically those first two blocks. Rich people are assholes, and money is bad or evil. Um, People who believe those tend to be pretty not wealthy because
Hmm.
it's hard. It's basically antithetical to attaining wealth. If you believe that wealth makes you an asshole, why would you become wealthy? If you think money is bad or it corrupts you or that it's evil, why would you get more money? And there's people who
Mm.
demonize money on the spiritual side, which I don't think you and I are both huge Michael Singer fans, right? Like he
Hmm.
showed how to be spiritual and become a billionaire by accident, essentially. That should be
Yeah.
his next book should be Accidental Billionaire. That would be a great title. I'd read the
That
fuck out
would
of
be.
that. That's a great
Heck yeah.
title.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just have to write that at some point.
Yeah. Exactly.
It'll be untrue. I just wasn't not a billionaire. But so but yeah, so those are really the five core blocks and where things come from. And so like you and I were talking about this before. I built out this 29 question quiz that's got all these questions about your childhood, things your parents said, your teachers, your coaches, the neighborhood you grew up in, how that affects your relationship to money now. And that's basically, we're all walking around with this little 5-year-old or 13-year-old managing our money. You know, we've got this child or
Mm.
this teen who's responsible for all of our monetary decisions. And it's like, well, would you actually let a 5-year-old manage your, you know, your bank account? And it's like, no. It's like, well, that's what you're actually doing until you deal with these blocks and sort out the, you know, the deeper level of what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting. Most people have self-limiting beliefs in some capacity. And I think people can understand that when it comes to like their relationships, for example, like that's okay. Yeah, I see this person. I see some triggers from my father, so maybe
Right.
I like, it affects me. But then when it comes to their money, like this is a whole new concept. I feel like people really need to latch onto and determine which of these 5 money blocks are really holding you back from living
Yeah.
the abundant, beautiful
Well,
life that you desire. And yeah,
and most
it's
people
it's
have
just
more
one of
than
those things,
one.
like the assessment piece. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's,
true.
but it's like
What's the most
people
common?
tend to have a dominant. The most common is there isn't enough, because almost everybody has some level of scarcity.
Hmm.
Um, Most people have that on some level, and then they'll have, and then, you know, I'm not worthy. A lot of people have that, even if that's not the one they get through the quiz or whatever. It's like people have that, but it tends to come up at different levels. So what tends to happen is certain people don't have many money blocks until they earn a certain amount, right? So like for me, I
Hmm.
had a pretty good childhood around money. There were different issues. I was super fucking frugal. Like I had an equation for how to buy alcohol based on alcohol
Hmm.
volume times price. Like I was, I read every menu from right to left, like Arabic, what's the cheapest thing? Now let me buy that. So I had to work through a lot, and I'm, very much
Hmm.
not that type of person anymore at all. I think frugal is just a word that cheap people use to make them feel better about themselves. And that's what I used to say. I'm not cheap. I'm frugal. No, you fucking cheap. You're
Yeah.
cheap. You just found a bigger word to use that doesn't sound as bad.
Yeah.
And there's benefits to saving,
Yeah.
but people don't become rich by saving money. They get rich by earning money and saving proportionally to that, because you can only ever save in direct proportion to what you earn. So people who, I read The Millionaire Next Door and Dave Ramsey and these books when I was growing up, thinking, oh, the way I'm going to be rich is I'm never going to spend my money, and I'm going to be. It's basically, Garrett Gunderson and I, who, well, we started a podcast called The Funny Money Show, which will be launching soon,
Mhm.
actually. And
Mm.
we talk about, we both like, it's
Heck yeah.
basically, those books should be called How to Be Fucking Miserable and Die Rich. Like that's basically what it is. It's like how to be miserable while you're alive
Yeah.
until you, and the people like Dave Ramsey's like, save all your money, do this. Meanwhile, he has a $600 million fucking business that, he can do whatever he wants. So I
Yeah.
think, it's like people, they don't teach them what they're doing or whatever, but, and nothing against them. I think there's value to in certain ways there, but ultimately you need to earn more money. That's the best thing you can do, is increase your income. Um, but uh,
Yeah.
this whole, just like the blocks exist on some level. And so for some people, it may be at 10 grand a month, they don't have any blocks. At 50 grand a month, suddenly they have this like, oh my God, I'm not worthy of more, or, oh, there isn't enough money. There are people who 100%, the more money they have, the worse they start to feel. I actually was with a meditation teacher there that I started doing TM. And, I teach I have all these money meditations and all this stuff. And I decided to go learn from
Hmm.
someone some other stuff just out of interest. And she taught meditation to Jim Carrey. And Jim Carrey, I guess, he was getting 20 million a movie, and
Mm.
he said to her, I still think I'm going to lose it all any given moment. And that's what I want to help people with.
Mm.
It's the fact that even if you become really rich, you can live in this fear. Like the more you have, the more you have to lose.
Mm.
And money to me is
Mm.
it's not a number, it's a feeling. And these are like one of my
Yeah.
favorite questions to ask people is, if money were a person, would it want to hang out with you? Like if money were a human being, would it want to spend time
Mm.
with you? Like, do you lock it away in a dark safe and tell it can't leave the house? And you're like, you're going to stay here. You're not going anywhere. You're going to live in a dark, a dark fucking vault in a bank somewhere. Like,
Yeah.
what type of money would, money wants to be able to go be free. Money has one singular purpose, and that's to flow. It's supposed to move from person to person, place to place. And so if you restrict money, the flow of it in either way,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to restrict its, desire to be around you. And it's a weird question, but I think it's interesting because if money were a real person and you were just going to fuck it, even if you think about how people hold on to money, it's like a stranglehold. Why would money be, it wants to get, those dollar bills flying out there. Wants to go make friends.
Yeah, make it rain.
Bring it
Yeah, I
home.
mean, it's
If money was like a really
exactly
cool
free booze.
girlfriend,
I mean,
right? It's like a relationship. If you were like, I don't want you to leave the house. Where are you going? Why are you leaving? Who are you going to see at the bar? What are you going to be doing out there? And instead, if you're just like chill and you're like, yo, go do what you want, then money comes back with a
yeah,
friend. And it's like, hey, do you want to hang out with my other friend? And then money keeps bringing back friends and money gets super chill. And you're
yeah,
like, this is a lot of fun, you know?
yeah, yeah. I mean, the thing that you said that I really appreciate too is like money is supposed to flow. And, you know, I can even look back on my own self-limiting beliefs around money, and something you said about the menu still resonates with me because even though I have money, I still look at the menu with the price in priority to the actual dish.
Mm,
And it's so deeply ingrained from my childhood that even you saying that hit me, and I was like, oh shit, I do that now, you know. And
right,
I live quite abundantly. I'm not, I mean, I'm obviously, there's levels to it, but like I have everything I need. I'm super blessed, I'm very
right.
grateful, you know. But it's like that is so deep seated. I want to unpack how to work through those type of blocks, specifically like the frugal block. How did you work
Yeah.
through it since you are on the other side?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm still a person who has stuff come up. Like there's levels, there's
Yeah.
moments, right? Like I'll have fuck, what was it recently? Oh, we were in Aspen, and just this last week, what a first world thing to say. Just then, I was in Aspen, which is, by the way, I think Aspen
Yeah.
is the capital of people wearing stupid fucking hats. God, it's like the richer the person, the dumber the hat they wear. I mean, Jesus wept. Just
Yeah.
wear a baseball hat. These people, these dudes wearing these flat brimmed and the guys, look, you'll appreciate this. These people wearing fucking cowboy hats.
Five panels.
Stop it. Were you a cowboy? Do you live on a ranch? Do you fuck with cows? Do
Yeah.
you have a horse? Like you can wear a cowboy
Have you
hat.
ever been on
Okay?
a horse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you haven't, no
Yeah.
cowboy hats for you. I'm sorry. Even like I have my ranch now. If I was up there and my house in the woods, if I was going to wear a cowboy hat for the sun, I would wear it at home alone, away from people, out on my property, and then I wouldn't wear it into town because I'm not an asshole. But anyways, so the there are times when I have things come up. Like I found it was like at the grocery store, spending like $300 on groceries to take to the place, which doesn't affect me or matter at all. But I was like, why is this coming up? Like, I don't really understand this. Like,
Mhm.
we're going to ask, we're not even paying for the place we're staying at or any of this. It was just this weird feeling coming up. And there was lots of money coming into the business. And like that day, like looking at Stripe, you're like, okay, what's going on here? Sometimes it's that when you have a lot coming in, there'll be an upper limit thing where you basically, I think one of our main purposes as human beings is to increase our tolerance for good feelings. It's to improve our threshold for how good we can feel. Because when we start to feel a
Mm.
certain level of good, we bring ourselves back down to a baseline that we're comfortable with. So I'm like, part of it I think was that in this trip, but I was like, why am I having this? Like, it doesn't happen very often. For me, it's in my my gut. Some people get it. Basically, there's three places you typically will feel scarcity. It'll either be throat, chest, or gut. For me, it's always been gut. And I was like, what is going on? Or you get the shoulder raise, right? There's that shoulder raise feeling like, ugh, I don't want to spend this money. And like, why is this happening? And so I'll always I breathe out
Mm.
and I imagine 10 times the amount coming back that I spend. But with that, I'm like, where is this coming from? And so I just continue to breathe into it. Be like, oh, this is just that one was actually pretty nonsensical. I was just like, where is this coming from? It's like this idea that we had just been spending money on a bunch of stuff to go to a place that I'm like, I don't really understand why I'm buying all these groceries that we may not eat. And I'm like, I'm going to eat these later. What is going on? Like, this is such a stupid thing. Not judging myself negatively, but just being
Yeah.
like, okay, where is this coming? I always ask, where is this coming from? What's going on here? But for the most part, I really don't experience a lot of
Mm-hmm.
Scarcity. And even when, this is, I think, one of the most important things I could say about it is, so I had recently I'd bought I had a cabin and I'd bought this other house and I didn't have that much cash in my account, especially for what I earn. And I'm like feeling this little scarcity. And that's when it's most important to be abundant, is when it's scarce. Cause I always say I had this girlfriend who was,
Mm.
I was like real into positivity back in the, like, over the top. And she would be like complaining about people at work or whatever, and she'd be negative, and I'm like, why don't you be positive? And she'd be like, this isn't the time for that. I don't want to hear your positivity stuff. And I'm like, well, it seems like right now is the perfect time for it. And this is what people don't really realize, is it's easy to
Yeah.
be abundant when money's abundant. It's hard when it's not abundant, and that's when it's most important. So when the scarcity is around is when you
Yeah.
most need to practice. And
Mm.
so I maintain my practices. I maintain my meditations and my
Yeah.
abundance practices during the time when I had less cash for like a month, and then suddenly a bunch of cash came in. And it's like, well, that's not a surprise. There's a reason for that. So what I worked through though, I had one guy ask me that same question you did, where he's like, how did you work through it? Not many people ask me that question, surprisingly. And the biggest thing is that every day is just a chance to practice.
Mm.
So the menu thing was big for me because I mean, I was
Mm-hmm.
like right to left all the time. What's the best deal? And then, you know this, but I have Crohn's. And so I really just eat meat. I just
Mm-hmm.
eat carnivore and some fruit now. But everything I order at a restaurant is the most expensive thing. And that's not on purpose. I order steaks, and I
Mm-hmm.
almost always get two dinners. So I go to a
Yeah.
restaurant. So like this is actually an interesting practice of the abundance, is that I go to dinner. We go out to dinner quite a lot. So we go to dinner and I order the biggest steak. I'll get a ribeye, whatever their biggest ribeye is, and then it's always so funny to watch the reaction of the people too. I'll go, okay, I'll get that ribeye, no sides, no anything, just meat on a plate. And they go, okay. It's like, you sure you don't want any sides? You don't want some potatoes? No, I don't want any sides. Just meat on a plate. I'm like, just do less. All they have to do is put the meat on the plate. And they go, okay, are you sure? Is that
Yeah.
it? And I go, actually, I'm going to have another one of those. And they go, another side? What do you? Another steak? I'm gonna have two of those. So I'll go and I'll end up with, it's two $50 steaks. Now, do I want that? No, of course. I wish it was, they should give me a discount for not having sides. And people always do this too. They go, well, I can't make any discount for the sides if you're not going to get, I go, that's fine. You charge me more. Just give me what I fucking want. I don't care. I want what I want. And I'm not going to let money be the thing that dictates whether I get what I want or not. And ultimately, I know that's the healthiest food I can eat. So there's, an ab tax or a health tax, whatever you want to
Mm-hmm.
call it. I'm going to get by accident the
Mm-hmm.
most expensive thing. If I guess you could order a burger without buns, which sometimes I do, from time to time. But like I I'm
Mm-hmm.
actively always becoming even more okay with, because sometimes they feel bad. The waiter's pushing their money blocks onto me, going, but you're not going to get any of the sides. I still have to charge you full price. And I go, that's fine. That's completely okay. And they're like, are you sure though?
Mm.
Because yeah, I promise
Yeah.
you it's okay. And then so some of the practices around that, one is to just block the right side. Just block the right side of the menu and be like, what do I want?
Mm.
Independent of any thought of what this might cost, what is the thing I truly want to eat? And then allow yourself to have that thing. And this, people
Mm.
sometimes think that I'm like over the top. They're like, oh, you don't believe in saving. It's like, no, I always spend less money than I actually earn. That's fucking idiotic. If you spend more money than you earn, that's dumb. Okay. But I've continued to increase my lifestyle expenses
Mm-hmm.
as I've made more money, and people go, that's stupid. My life's fucking great. I get to do whatever I want. And I'm going to continue. I believe that I continue to make more money because I spend. If I sit there and hoard money, money is going to restrict its flow towards me. So when it comes to I think the going to restaurants is one of the best places you can ever practice your abundance around money and your money beliefs. So block it out. Block out the right side of the menu, then
Mm.
order, and notice when you
Yeah.
look and you uncover that right side and you're like, oh, fuck, that thing's $52. Then you go and you feel that in your gut or your chest, and then you just relax into it. And you go and you literally, you can pull up your shoulders and tighten your body and then just release and imagine like 10 times that amount coming back. But no, where is this coming from? Why do I feel this way? where did I learn this? Why am I feeling scarce right now? Is money actually tight right
Mm,
now? If it is, then you really need to practice the abundance right now. But if it's not, why do you feel this way? Do you feel uncomfortable with how much you're making? Do you feel unworthy of the fact that I used to have this where after the biggest money day is where you feel like you feel like this weird scarcity. Or I have a buddy who I won't name, but he would have like a $20,000 day, and then he would go to a casino and lose 10 grand unconsciously. He would just go lose it because he felt he didn't do the most ethical of things. And so
mm,
he would unconsciously, this is why I believe in earning money ethically, is not because I'm trying to tell people, oh, I'm this high horse good person.
mm-hmm.
First off, I couldn't sleep if I did shitty stuff to get money. I just personally couldn't. And I like sleep. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I know all the stuff you do. We know people who do very, stuff that's really on the edge that you're like, and they justify
Shady.
it.
Yeah.
But what I believe is that if you earn money in ways that are unethical, you will unconsciously find ways to offload that money so that you feel worthy of what you have, because you don't feel worthy if you earn it
Mm,
in a sketchy way. It's even like if you look at all the big, like Pablo Escobar is the richest person potentially in the world at one point. He got killed. Like, you're gonna find a way to fuck it up because
yeah.
it's impossible to maintain that level of unethical money without having something come back to you. So but restaurants are a great place. So you cover the menu, you look,
Yeah.
where is this coming from? What's going on? Uh, you know, like I used to be, my buddy and I used to have, when we lived in San Diego, we would do, we'd go on this site called like happyhourking.com or some shit. And we would just go to like 5 nights a week, we'd go to a bar based on the prices of the drinks on that night. And that was how we made our decisions. And one day, one of our
Mm.
college teammates came down to visit us, and we went to this bar, and he ordered a beer, and I asked him what price the beer was after he had gotten it. And we're sitting, I was like, oh, how much was that? And he's like, I don't know. And I was like, what do you mean you don't know? He's like, I don't know what it cost. I didn't look. I just got what I wanted. And I said, what do you mean you didn't look at the price? You don't know what it cost. Like, you just got. And I was like, and I said to my roommate later, I was like, what a fucking douchebag. Oh, look at me. I just buy what I want because I can. And that was my own triggering, pissing me off about him, because I was literally looking, going, what is I
Yeah.
drank IPAs because I did end up liking them after the fact, but because they were twice the amount of alcohol and the same price as a normal beer, maybe $1 more. But if you look at the alcohol per dollar, I was getting significantly more alcohol per dollar out of those IPAs. And here's this guy just buying what he wants like an asshole. And so I'm like,
Mm.
what is he doing? And now I'm that
Yeah.
guy who yesterday we went to go have dinner, and the
Yeah.
guy hands me the check. In the air, I just give him the card. I don't look at it, right? And I remember there was a time I was in Austin, and I was eating with the guy who owned the company I worked for, and then this other guy, and he just put his card into the like metal tray, and I was like, "What? You didn't look at the price?" And he's like, "So?" I was like, "Well, what? Don't you want to know what it costs?" He's like, "It costs what it costs. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. Like,
Mm.
nothing, me looking at
Yeah.
it isn't gonna change the price." And then there's the part of me who, with my parents, they'd always be like, oh, did they get something wrong? They overcharged for this, they did this. And now I'm like, who gives? So what if I get overcharged
Mm-hmm.
$20? Who gives a fuck?
Same. Yep.
Why? Who cares if they overcharge me, or this drink should have been free, or this thing
Yeah.
should have been free? Instead, what I do is I just give the thing, and then I tip like 30 to 50%. And I just do it because I also go to the same restaurants a lot, and I'm difficult
Mm.
because of my, gluten issues and my shit. And so I'm like,
Mm.
I just tip really well. And then those people treat you, you can buy
Yeah.
kindness at a restaurant, So if you go to the same restaurant, just tip ridiculously well.
Yeah.
And then they
True.
like you forever, and you treat them really well, and you tip them really well. And I always like, I don't know if you ever have this. I'll still have this at times where, let's say the bills, it's like a lunch, so it's $50, right? And I go to tip, or it's $48, right? And you go to tip 10 or 9 instead of $10 or something at 20%. Like, this used to happen where I'd be like, oh, should I tip 10 or 11? I'm like, this dollar doesn't matter to me. Like, in no way does this dollar matter, but here I am thinking about this thing that does matter to them. So in that moment, I
Mm,
push myself, and like when that was more the case, I'd go, okay, so it was if I was thinking about 9 to 10, 15. You just fucking give them 15. That extra $5 does matter to that
mm,
person, doesn't matter to me. And then, like, I'll have
yeah,
the odd bill. This
yeah.
woman the other day at this breakfast place charged me like $12 or $8 for like an omelet. She wrote my omelet down as like a a la carte thing because I didn't get sides, and I was just like, this is ridiculous. So my bill was like $8. So I just tipped her 12. And I'm just like, and then the next time I went there, the chick charged me like $24 for the same
Mm.
thing, and I tipped her, 8. And so it's like, if somebody does something good for you, you just reward them, and you take care of people. And but it's always, the
Yeah,
restaurants are a great place to practice, like, because
yeah.
if you have those feelings coming up, you just breathe into them and work on, where is this coming from, why is this feeling coming up, and then do meditations and different shit to get rid of it.
Well, and you mentioned the meditations. So one thing that I actually do is listen to your meditations. Like, I don't listen to them as much as I used to when you first sent them to me. I was, listening to them regularly, and they
Right.
really helped.
Yeah.
I know they helped my brother too, but it's like that. Yeah, those are really helpful. I think the work that you've done around money is far superior than I've seen most people that I know. I really look to you as someone who
I
has
appreciate
cracked
that,
the
man.
code
It's
on
been a lot of work.
like the way to actually manifest money. Well, it is. It shows because you really do need to put in the work. It is something that like you have to reprogram, and I think the restaurant is a great place to
It's
practice.
like the
Right? It's
gym for
like
money.
that is the
Yeah.
arena where you can really practice abundance, just in terms of. Yeah, exactly. Just in terms of like people out there earning more money. I know this is a topic like I want to be abundant. I feel like, I want to give the extra $5 a tip or whatever, but I feel so much scarcity, and I actually am scarce right now. And I know I need to be more abundant, but let's flip the script just a little bit in terms of earning more. Cause you mentioned like earning your way to wealth, not
Mhm.
saving your way to wealth is the remedy. What would you say to someone right now who is like, Ian, I want to earn more? What would you recommend in terms
Yeah,
of
that's a
best
good question.
practices?
And the funny thing is, like, my business is called Almost Passive Income, right? And so the idea is that work less, make more, while having more fun. And I'm not a big proponent of hard work. I actually believe this is something that people, I think, have misunderstood about
Mm-hmm.
stuff I teach. Is I'm not averse to hard work. I'm not averse to intense work. I'm averse to the idea that harder, longer hours are the answer, because they're not. I mean, I can objectively point to so many people and so much proof that if hard work was the answer, so many people would be rich. If more hours was the answer, people would be rich. But there's always a limit to how much more you can do, but there's no limit to less
Mm-hmm.
until you arrive at zero. So if you say, well, if I make $1,000 an hour and I work 24 hours a day, I could make
Mm-hmm.
24,000 a day. Cool. Well, you can't earn more than that. But if you can continue to work less and reduce the inputs, you can actually increase the outcomes from that, from smaller bits of work. But the hard work to me is the money work. It's doing the emotional work
Yeah.
around money. That's when I say I've worked hard on it. I've intensely worked on my relationship to money, and it's changed things so dramatically without changing how much I work. I still get to do all the fun stuff I
Mm-hmm.
like to do. But I would say when it comes to earning, the best thing you can do,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you're in a place where you're not earning any, as much as you'd like, or as you've got a job or you're doing something you don't enjoy, is start out with learning one skill. Learn one skill, become really fucking good at that before you do anything else. Like, the
Mm.
most common trait between all the richest people I know is that the richest people
Yeah.
I know are the least distracted, and they tend to do the least shit. Look at look at Geary. Geary's done the
Mm.
same thing for 15 years.
Yeah.
He's just done email marketing. He hasn't done, and he's worth $100
It's
million
so true.
dollars at least
Yeah.
from doing one thing. And what Joel Marion, who we know,
Mm.
who's worth 100 million or more, what does he do? He's done email marketing. And so I'm biased. That's what I
Yep.
teach. I would say go buy my 90 Days to Freedom program. But honestly, even if I
Yeah.
had no monetary incentive to tell people learn email, I'd say pick a skill. Whatever. I like the skill of writing emails that make other people money because it's easier than starting your own business from scratch. It's hard to start your own thing from the beginning, run traffic, build a list, get an offer, find affiliates, all this shit, or become an affiliate. Um, Media buying is one of the best skills you can have online and internet marketing. The thing with like learning how to do like sales calls, it's a valuable skill, but that's what I'd call a
Yep.
high income skill. And a high income skill means that you have to be present. You can get paid a lot. Like some of the people with the worst relationship to money are lawyers. Lawyers are like have the worst relationship to money because they make a lot per hour. They may make, and like I charge $2,000 an hour for consulting, but then people, oh my, what? I'm not doing 8 hours a day of consulting, right? 5 days a week. That's like when I do it. It's not these lawyers when they're making 500 to 1,000 an hour. They're making that every hour
Yeah.
but they have to be billing, and so they've developed this horrible relationship to money because I've read lawyers talk about this and talk to them about it. They're with their family going, God damn it, I could be billing right now. Oh, I could be billing hours right now. They're trading their time for money. And that's the fundamental issue that so many people have. So when you look at like phone sales, it's a great skill and it's a good skill to fund, a lifestyle later, but it's a high income skill where if you're not on the phone, you're not making money. So email copywriting or media buying, they're exponential income skills where you can exponentially grow your income without increasing the amount of time you're putting in. Right. So if I'm putting in, let's say I have a list of 1,000 people and I make $1 per name per month and I write an email that takes me 10 minutes a day. That first month I make $1,000 and I'm putting in 10 minutes a day. That next month, let's say the list is 10,000 people, just for easy math. I make 10,000 that next month, still only working 10 minutes a day. Next month, 50,000 people on the list. Now I'm making $50,000 a month, same 10 minutes a day. So when you look at the thing you want to learn, you want to look at exponential income, right? So can I put in a small fixed amount of work and exponentially increase my income, right? Do I have to proportionally put in? You're looking for disproportionate outcomes, essentially. You're looking at things that don't have a linear equation where the more I work, the more I make, or the less I work, the less I make. That doesn't mean you don't do intense work. Like hard work to me, actually, like intense work and hard work.
Yeah.
Hard work in American culture is doing more. More is more, which is not true. And even from a pure physics perspective, more is not always more. Less can be more when applied in the right places. But when it comes to the gym, like I don't know if I don't remember if I told you this, but I walked 60 miles over 2 days. I did 2 marathons in 2 days while carrying 42 pounds of water. Farmers carrying 42 pounds of water. Like, yeah, it
Oh, I
was, I
saw
mean, it
that.
was
I saw you online
literally
doing that.
I did
Yeah.
30 miles
Jeez.
and then we did another 30 miles the next day while holding
Intense.
21 pounds of water in each hand, farmers carry style. Like, I'm down to do hard shit, but it's different. Like, I do hard shit because my life is easy.
Yeah.
I became soft at one point in my life. I became pathetic. Like, I was like, I'm soft. So I was like, I got to do hard shit to make sure I don't become a pussy, basically. I know I can't say that word anymore. I don't care. You can bleep it out if you want, but I just don't want
Yeah.
to, like, it's important to force hardship upon yourself if your life's easy.
No.
But work shouldn't be the thing where it's like where it's super hard. Go do hard stuff at the gym. Do hard stuff in the woods, right? Go spend a week with Carrie in Montana without a phone, worried if a bear's going to eat you every time you
Yeah.
take a shit. I learned on that trip that I'm afraid of bears, which is a rational fear, but I am.
Yeah.
I just kept
Hey,
thinking
they're
he was
scary,
going to get me while I was
They
pooping. That's
can be.
always. I just thought this is going to be the moment. I'm going to have this toilet paper in hand, mid shit, and this
Most
bear's just going to be
vulnerable.
like, this is the time I'm going to get him. This is it, and I'm just going to die shitting in the woods and pants down. Just that's my fear in life.
I mean, it probably happens. Yeah, I hear you. I mean, you said a couple of things before we got into the poop talk and the bears that I really want to circle back and echo. one thing you said is learn a valuable skill and go all in on that. And my buddy Roy Vaden talks about when you have diluted focus, you get diluted results. And this is something that I've seen in my own life. Like, let's be straight up. Like, I do probably way too many things and all of them subpar. Not
I know that.
like
I know
to
the
my
feeling.
fullest ability. You know, I'm a part-time actor / model, part-time entrepreneur, podcaster, you know, ecopreneur, like outdoorsman. Like, if I went all in on any of those, you know I could be the best. But I got this advice, and I think I even mentioned to you, my Taoist priest and Kung Fu master when I was young, he was like, Kerry, always have 7 plates spinning. Therefore, if one fall, you still have 6 plates. And I was like, oh, that's so wise, master. So wise. But now I look back on it, I don't know if it is. You know, so I do believe getting really good at one thing.
I think the better advice is have one really fucking nice plate that you spin really fucking fast and really fucking well. And when other people try to give you more plates, tell them to fuck off. Yeah. That's I mean, and I'm here I am with, you know, 3 businesses and a comedy tour and all this stuff. And so I get it. But I'm always, my best advice I give now is always do less. Do less shit better. Just do less things. And I'm working on it I'm a constant work in progress, especially when it comes to doing less. I'm horrible at it, but I'm getting better.
Same.
And then every time I think I'm getting better, I take on a new thing, and then I'm like, what are you doing? Yep. Yeah. So it's fun. Oh, by the way, did I tell you I launched Call Me Maybe?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is, like, you have to learn to say no.
A little delay. I launched the Call Me Maybe, which I had the idea on the way up to Montana, and your brother was the one who was like, dude, that's a big idea. And I was like, I think you're right. And then I had the app developed, and like I was driving, I made $500 yesterday driving home from Utah, and I've got actually, if you want to do it, we'll get you set up. I got to get I'm starting to get people to test it, and so it's working, man. It's really wild. Yeah, get paid per minute. You want to talk to Kerry Jack? Yeah. He'll charge you whatever dollars per minute, and he'll call you at his convenience. Yeah, ask him whatever you want. Yeah, I'll get you set up.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's great. Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing: for all the happy hustlers out there, like, if you take nothing else away from this conversation, which would be a cry and shame, one, just get good at a skill that has exponential impact and growth capability. Like Ian gave that example with email copywriting. That is such a great example. You do the work once, but you exponentially can grow that opportunity.
Or just writing for other people.
Media
and they'll
buying,
just pay you per email.
Copywriting, some of these skills I've seen in my own game. Yeah, exactly. I mean, where can people go? I want to drop a link, sooner than later, because I feel like people are really getting a ton out of this. I know you have the money quiz. Tell us the money quiz, where they can go for that, and also tell them where they can go to learn more about almost passive income.
Is where you can go and take that quiz, find out what your biggest money block is, your money DNA, and sort of how to actually get rid of those blocks, the meditations, the practices, the things to remove those blocks. And then you can go to 90dtf.com, just 90DTF, and DTF is days to freedom. It's not down to fuck. That wasn't even on purpose. You know how I am, but that one wasn't on purpose. 90dtf.com has, it really was. That's what's funny.
I find that hard to believe.
Somebody else actually came up with the name of Days to Freedom, and I was like, it's DTF. This is great. 90DTF is where we teach people how to learn the skill of writing emails for other people. And then by the time this comes out, I should have ianstanleycomedy.com. I have the domain, but I'm going to start a daily comedy email. And which, if you're easily offended, do not go to ianstanleycomedy.com. These emails will not be for the woke or the faint of heart. The funny thing is, the stuff I say I don't think was controversial a handful of years ago. Now it's like, if you think I'm not even going to go there, I'll stop right there. But I'll cut it. Yeah, I'll cut it. But maybe I'll even tell the Montana Clears story that happened with Kerry in the woods of Montana. But I've got a comedy tour coming up
Oh,
like 15 city comedy tour with my buddy Garrett Gunderson, and go to ianstanleycomedy.com, and there should be an opt-in, and I'll
heck
send you
yeah.
dates and stuff for the cities we're going to.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be at the Nashville one. So if any of the Hap Hustlers are feeling froggy and want to go there,
Yeah,
I think
October
it's
19th,
mid-October, the
my mother's
19th. You said,
birthday
right?
in
October 19th.
Nashville. I'm not inviting her. I'm not. I don't
Is
think I
she
want
going?
to have my mom's
Oh,
like
okay.
71st birthday with me. I have stories about her. She's seen some of them. She actually, well, I'll tell you this one because so I have this, I think you know this. I have the domain analaboutaanal.com, and I've had it for like 7 years at this point. And
I don't
oh,
know
you haven't
this.
heard? Oh
No,
yeah,
this
this.
is
So
new.
I had the. This is that you can cut this part if you want. I don't care if whatever you want to do, Carrie. I don't know your audience and how much they're up for, but the the, the tagline. Okay,
No,
good. The
we just
tagline
leave
for the
it
website
the
is
real
supposed is
truth.
I never actually built out the website. I do still own the domain, but it was for people. It's for people who are specific about their anal, and so it's strictly anal. None of that pussy shit. Uh, and so
Oh my
I do
gosh.
this, and I did this bit, and my mom ends up watching. My mom and dad are watching my stand up, which they had never done, and it's not good. Don't make it. It's the stand up's good. My parents watching it is like, they're just quieter than you want, and you're like, this is. I had a joke about drugs, and my mom's like, that's not funny. No drug jokes could be funny, and I'm like, okay. I mean, they could be. They could be a good joke actually. But so she hears that one, and I said I wanted to put hats on the Anal About Anal website. I want to put Make Anal Great Again, MAGA hats on the website, but they're brown, instead of red. And I say, Make Anal Great Again. And my mom she goes, well, was it ever not great? And I'm like, oh, I'm like, you're not wrong, but not
Oh,
from you, mom. And
heck
my
yeah.
dad goes, yeah, was it ever not great? And I'm like, okay, this is the part I wish I hadn't showed you guys. So I don't think I'll have her at the
Yeah,
show.
that's hilarious, dude. Well, yeah, we'll leave that out the show. I'd say if you guys want to
No,
learn more about Ian, don't go to Anal About Anal, but go
there you go.
to ianstanleycomedy.com. Go to
Yeah,
90daydtf.com,
the
and
main go to
we'll link all this up in the show notes too.
moneydnaquiz.com.
And then if you
Yeah,
want to take that quiz, the
that's where you can take the
moneydnaquiz.com.
quiz, figure out your problems.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, make money, get rid of some of those blocks. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Now, I do want to ask you just a couple of the traditional Happy Hustle hack questions. And we ran through these the first
yeah,
time you were on, but I'm curious if you have any new ones because these are tips, tools, tactics, something that maybe you do in this particular discipline that potentially the Happy Hustlers can benefit from. So this first one, we'll talk about health. I know you're into health. We were talking about you getting your body like percentage, the body fat percentage, rather than looking at
hmm
your overall weight. Look at the body fat percentage. And I'm just curious if you have a Happy Hustle
yeah.
hack in
Well, I mean,
terms of health
actually,
that you can
you and I
share
were
with
talking
the
about
Happy
this before we
Hustlers.
started, but I'm now getting my body fat tested every 30 days for the rest of my life. We'll do it no matter what. And the reason is because your body fat can't lie to you. Your weight, the scale can lie to you. The scale is like your weight is like revenue in a business. People talk about revenue, but it doesn't mean anything. What matters is profit, right? So body fat is profit, weight is revenue, and people are they're
Mm-hmm.
full of bloated numbers and bullshit. And so I got big. I
Mm.
was lifting a lot. I'm like, oh, I'm just heavy, whatever. And then I got my body fat tested and was like, not up, not about this body fat percentage. And get an in-body or a DEXA scan. Do not trust these bullshit scales. You'll be like 8% lower than you actually are on these scales and things that tell you your body fat. Even body fat calipers, a lot of people are not good at it. So get a DEXA or an in-body. But I'm doing that every 30 days because you can so easily lie to yourself and so easily pretend that you're doing what you think you should. Then find a sustainable way of eating that makes you feel really good and keeps you lean. For me, it's carnivore, and then I've added in fruit. And that's adding in the fruit has made it incredibly sustainable. I've done, all sorts of stuff. I believe that we evolved eating. I mean, we did evolve eating meat. That's just a fact. I think it's the healthiest thing you can eat. So that would be, I'd say either way, don't ignore food choices and pretend like you're going to get rich while eating like shit.
Yeah. Yeah, really good points there. I love the analogy, like body fat
Yeah.
is like profit, and body weight is more like revenue. And truly, you see people all the time inflating their numbers with the revenue,
Yeah.
number versus what they actually made. So it really resonates for me, especially in
Mm-hmm.
this
Oh,
land of
yeah.
gurus out there, the fake gurus,
I do.
which I know you're familiar with and you do parodies on all the time. So if you guys want to watch some funny video,
Yeah.
watch Ian's YouTube of him
Light
doing like
Topaz,
lied
Can't
Topaz,
Cardone,
Can't Cardone, and
Muscle
what
Funson,
Muscle Funson, right?
Very Grinder Chuck, Tiny Robbins.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I actually have a rap song. Have you seen my rap called Fake Gurus?
Yeah,
I have a music video. Yeah.
yeah. I have, I have. It's awesome. Yeah. I do want to talk about money just a little further. I always like to give a happy hustle hack in regards to money. Obviously, you've given a ton, and the quiz would be one in and of itself. But do you have something specifically that you have done recently that has really helped you either earn more or save more or invest wiser, or maybe even something just in terms of this like current economy that you're looking at as like a really opportunity for people to jump on, in
Yeah, I
this
mean, the best thing you can
economic downturn
honestly
when
do
everything's on sale.
is do money meditations every day, and especially if you're ever feeling scarce, do them twice a day. Um, and I have some on my YouTube channel. They're all free. There are meditations in the Remove Your Money Blocks course, which you'll see if you take that quiz. But if you type in Money Tree Meditation on YouTube, it'll show up. But we're actually launching a new YouTube channel just around money meditations. So
Hmm.
at some point that'll happen pretty soon here, actually. But I would really recommend practicing these money meditations. Nothing like, I mean, my testimonials I get seem made up because they're so crazy, the things that happen to people. Um, there's 3 steps to making money. There's your mindset, there's learning an exponential income skill, and then there's creating assets that pay you while you sleep. So many people neglect that first thing, which is the mindset and your emotional relationship to money. So I would say do the meditations. That's the best thing. That nothing will change things more dramatically than shifting the way that you relate to money.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, we'll link all those up in the show notes too. But definitely, I love that money tree one you did. That money tree meditation is just it's a really simple but efficient way to reframe your money blocks, and also you get to hear Ian's accent. It's meditative in and of itself. So there you go. Check that out. And then one last question in terms of happy hustle hacks, Ian. I'm curious, do you have something in the spiritual realm, something that you do, maybe to meditate or breath work or like to pray or to get still, like that helps you connect with the higher
Yeah, I mean, I'd
power
say probably
that you
2
could
things.
share with
One
the happy
is,
hustlers?
I mean, yeah, I meditate now. I've been meditating twice a day for 20 minutes each time. So, and then 3 minutes of coming out of it. So about 46 minutes plus. I'm meditating close to an hour a day right now. Um, and I never did mantra meditations or really enjoyed them before. And then I figured out sort of how to do them. And I've really enjoyed that practice doing it twice a day without missing, just like what it does for you is pretty profound. So clearly, I'm a big fan of meditation. I mean, that's a lot of my. It's literally the hack for all of life. It's the most proven way to make everything that you do better across the board. Is just fucking sit still and repeat a mantra or visualize or do
Mm,
something like. Don't try and do these really hard meditations
yeah.
that are like all focus driven of like like getting mad at yourself when you have thoughts and things like that. That's silly. Um, so that's really the biggest thing is doing that. And then I actually really believe that some of the hardest physical things you can do, that's probably some of the best spiritual growth for me, like carrying water 60 miles over 2 days and then I fractured my shin. Like that's a spiritual
Hmm.
experience. Like when you go through something where
Oh,
every
geez.
single step is such an
Yeah.
intense amount of pain. And this is not my recommendation. I'm not saying do what I did. What I did is stupid. But when you do something like that, it's far more spiritual than it is physical because your body's broken and it's just your spirit that's continuing, and you learn what you're capable of and you learn who you are, not in the moments where life's good but where life's very hard. And when your life does get easy, you have to force hardship upon yourself. So
Yeah.
just do hard physical shit, and the spirit will have it. There's a spiritual workout within that.
Yeah. So true. So well said. I mean, and I don't think enough people do enough hard things lately. Like our life has
Yeah,
become quite
that's what
soft.
I love what
Most
you're
of society
doing.
is quite soft. I would venture to say that
Yeah,
confidently.
you're
At least
the
in
Montana
America.
mastermind was
You know.
incredible.
Yeah,
If
I
anybody here ever
appreciate
gets a
that, man.
chance to go with
I
Carrie
think
out
it's
into the
important.
woods, fucking do it.
Yeah.
It's such a remarkable experience, just getting away from your phone. That was, I remember the first night of that, I was like, man, I want to leave. I couldn't believe that. I was like, I never thought I would want to leave. I'm like, I want to get the fuck out of here. Like, I don't want to be
Yeah.
here. And I was like, that's okay. And I just relaxed into it and just, chilled. But it was like
Yeah.
that first night was weird. But going out and just, I
Hmm.
mean, your gratitude too when you get in, and like I remember we're at Chef Austin's house, and I went to go to the bathroom, and I just like turned the sink. And mainly when I closed the door, let's bring this full circle. When I closed the door, and I was like, there's no bears getting into this toilet. Like when I could just
Yeah.
take a shit without a bear maybe being near me, you become very grateful,
Yeah.
and you turn a little faucet and water's there. Like your
Yeah.
gratitude is so immense when you go and do hard stuff like that. So, get out into the woods, go
Yeah.
do some stuff that's hard, and then everything you do hard stuff to make the rest of life easy.
Yeah. Yeah, well said, man. I appreciate that. And yeah, it is one of those things like you build that mental fortitude by doing, hard things. Like even I know it's
Hmm.
overused and it's like all the rave is like ice baths these days and hot saunas
100%.
like but even those little things do build mental fortitude and toughness. And it's just about getting yourself uncomfortable, pushing past it, and it does become spiritual at some point
Right.
when you do it hard enough things. So I love that. Ian, dude, this has been amazing, man. I appreciate you and your time and just sharing your wisdom. This is just I think a real masterclass on breaking through those money blocks. And I just want to
Thanks,
acknowledge you,
dude.
brother, for sharing your love, your light, your wisdom, your money epiphanies and your content. Like this is some gold, and I know it can really help a lot of people, especially the happy hustlers that actually go to
Go do the work.
moneydnaquiz.com and actually do it. Like one thing is great to just like hear us chat about it, and then like actually doing it, like going to that quiz, taking the 29 questions, getting your money block, and then consuming Ian's content on actually how to overcome it. Like that's the next step here, guys, if you're serious about it. So don't just let this go in one year, out the other, and say, yeah, that was a good, hour of content. Take action and really like start with that money quiz.
Yeah,
And then go check them out
at
on,
becoming
the
Ian
comedy
Stanley on
tour too. If you want
Instagram,
to come to
Ian
Nashville
Stanley
and see me
Comedy
there, that'd be
on
awesome.
YouTube.
But Ian,
Comedy's
man,
what really matters in this world. So bringing light to the
oh
darkness
yeah,
of our current chaos. So
yep,
if you like to be offended, come find me.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll link them all up in the show notes.
No,
Ian,
no,
any
we've
final
covered a
thoughts
lot. It's
before
been
I
very
ask you
fun.
the last
You're a
question,
very
brother?
good asker of questions. You're a great interviewer.
Yeah. Thank you, bro. Appreciate you, man. Well, final question, which is what does
Um,
happy hustling
it's
mean to
funny
you?
because the word hustle to me was always that's like a dirty word. That's like the old Gary V type of like, grind, hustle, work while you sleep. But in consuming your stuff and the stuff you worked on
Hmm.
when we were in the woods and stuff, to me it's like I don't really believe in balance. I don't think it happens. I think balance happens in like the extremes. It's like So I'd say to me, happy hustling is having extreme moments of activity and extreme moments of inactivity. Whether that's, getting as high as humanly possible and watching Impractical Jokers, uh, and
Mm.
then and then going and training for a water walk, a 60-mile water walk. I think to me, happy hustling is it's the space in between the extremes.
Ooh, love it. Mic drop, y'all. Ian Stanley, thanks for watching and listening. We are out. Peace and love, y'all.